Hi, welcome back to my channel. So, I've been finding some really interesting evidence, for lack of a better word, um, of proof that we have a twin star or sun and it has its own system. So, I would like to share some of that with you. Let's look at this one first. Now, I find it really interesting that this was seen in Japan on January 8th, and just a few days ago, um, maybe about a week ago now, I guess, Japan and China both experienced quite large cataclysms to their land and their people, and I didn't hear anything about that on the world news or local news at all, which I find very curious. Look at that, guys. Does that look like a Stargate opening up? Does it look like the clouds and the chemtrails are trying to hide a second sun? There's something coming toward us. Most definitely. Something coming towards us.
And a new study has narrowed down where a hypothetical ninth planet could be in our solar system. According to astronomers, planet 9 is expected to be many times the size of Earth and orbit the sun far beyond Neptune. The astronomers say that the astronomer is actually the same astronomer who led the campaign to demote Pluto from a planet to a dwarf planet. Now looking to fill that Planet 9 void, the astronomer claims that there's only a 0.4% chance that Planet 9 does not exist.
So we'll get right into it. Our first two speakers are basically going to talk on the subject of Planet X. And we have Mr. Jason Martell here, who has been talking about Planet X for some time. As a matter of fact, 15 years. Mr. Martell holds regular discussions with NASA scientists on the subject of Planet X, ancient astronauts, and structures on Mars. There's great evidence that has shown that in our solar system, the planet Nibiru passes through our solar system.
The time of when Hubble first imaged a planet around another sun. Now, this isn't our sun, and this isn't, our solar system, but this planet had an egg-shaped orbit around its star, and that was very interesting to astronomers because that was one of the first times they'd actually seen a planet that had an elliptical orbit, more of like an egg-shaped, elongated orbit. So there's been a plethora of news releases stating the idea that, hey, some astronomer somewhere is reigniting the idea that there is something in our solar system that deserves further study. There's evidence to suggest that there's some large body that maybe has caused effects in the past, and we'll discuss some of those, or could be incorporated into our planetary model now to say, yes, there's another large body out there. So we've seen all kinds of news releases coming out in the media for the idea of a 10th planet. Now where it gets interesting is Zecharia Sitchin. He's 84 and has been studying ancient languages, Hebrew Bible, the Christian Bible, the origins of biblical texts for about 50 years. And in his research, he came across a term called Nibiru. And Nibiru meant planet of the crossing. And it was a planet talked about by an ancient culture, the Sumerians, the first culture we have record of on Earth, and they described this very large planet in our solar system.
A NASA telescope discovers a massive object orbiting a distant star.
It's not like anything we've seen before.
Whatever this thing is, it's big. It's bigger than any planet in our solar system.
It's beyond human scale.
Evidence points to an artificial structure.
This is truly amazing. And if this structure is real, we're going where no one's gone before.
And
Okay.
the new study has narrowed down
So
where
I'm not saying that it's artificial. On the contrary, I think it's an entire mini solar system.
Look at the damn sky. And no, this ain't no filter. This like literally the sky. This shit crazy. No filter. Look at the damn sky. And no, this ain't no filter. This like literally the sky. This shit crazy.
Crazy indeed.
Just to bring you up to date with the breaking news that we've had this morning, that in the last hour, a very powerful earthquake has struck central Japan, prompting a major tsunami warning. The 7.6 magnitude quake hit the Noto Peninsula, close to the town of Anamizu. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has urged people in coastal areas to evacuate immediately and to move to higher ground as further earthquakes are expected in the coming hours. So these pictures that we can show you right now are the latest ones that have been coming in to us on social media. So these are not independently verified by the BBC. These are on social media just in the last hour or so. Initial reports suggesting a tsunami of 1.2 meters high has already hit the coast of Wajima City, with warnings that the waves could reach up to 5 meters. Now, more than 36,000 homes have lost power in the last couple of hours. Japan's chief cabinet secretary has confirmed there are so far no irregularities at any nuclear power plants, but the authorities are continuing to monitor for any possible damage. Now, the very latest information that we have is that a news conference with Japan's weather agency is expected to be broadcast in the next hour. And I think we can take you to live images being run by Japan's state broadcaster right at the moment. These are the live images from NHK. And they have been warning for the last hour of various levels of tsunami. You can see on the screen at the moment they're warning of a height of 3 meters and 1 meters, but we know in other parts of Japan it has been up to 5 meters. But the main thing that you can see is that in the top right of your screen, those words, evacuate immediately. That's for the coastal areas that you can see highlighted on the map there. Just to bring you up to date.
Now, that's the catastrophic episode I was just referring to that just happened in Japan. Earthquake that leads to a tsunami. And you heard her say this came from independent individuals reporting on this. Not the news, not the BBC, not ABC, NBC, any of them. They weren't reporting on it. Nor did they report on China's earthquake and the mudslide that killed hundreds of people. Don't you find that odd? Because typically they love to show us those things. But there's a reason for them happening that they don't want you to think about.
30 minutes, so I can show you again. You see both suns right side by
See the
side.
reflection?
This is why
That's how you
can't
know
see
that
it
there
during
really
the
are
day,
two there,
as
because
soon
you've
as
got
the
two
sun
reflections.
actually hits, about 7 o'clock in the morning, you won't be able to see that second sun again. Look at it. Look at that, baby. Proof. Full proof. 2 years I've been waiting on this. Oh, I can't believe it.
And if you look right here, you'll notice that that looks like a heart shape right now, because I believe that there is another planetary body next to this one or just right behind it. And pay attention to the reflection. It agrees.
Oh my God. It's just amazing. 2 years I've waited on this. Oh my God. Look at it. Look at that, baby. Proof. Full proof. 2 years.
See, notice this reflection here also looks heart-shaped.
I've been waiting on this. Oh, I can't believe it.
As well as the sun itself has a heart-shaped duplicate. And if it's a true reflection, it will be in the reverse mirrored image. Now, look again.
Proof. Full proof.
Do you see?
2 years I've been waiting on this. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh my God. It's just amazing. 2 years I've waited on this shot. Two suns.
I don't know what happened to the rest of the audio there.
30 minutes.
You can clearly see that there's approximately 3 celestial bodies around our main star. Now, I don't know exactly what this is falling from the sky here in Italy, but this also just happened this week. And I know that something very similar to this happened in Brazil, where, excuse me, several alien aircraft were shot down by the military. This is Ukraine. See there? 1, 2, visible next to, what is that? The moon? The sun? And this is not no blue beam thing, guys. That's not what this is. They hope that that's what you think this is. Look at these skies. Look at the colors that we're now seeing in our skies that we have never seen before. Also shown to me in my visions and many other people's visions as prophecy of the changing times we are now in. Absolutely beautiful, stunning to look at, but not normal. You can see both of them reflected in the water in 2 different spots. Absolutely stunning. That's in Thailand. Canada. Russia. Hampton Beach. This is flooding that just recently happened. Trinidad and Tobago. Not sure what we're looking at there. Maybe it's a sinkhole, I don't know. This is Colombia. Horrendous mudslide that just happened. There's also a terrible mudslide in Japan and China. This is Indonesia. Extreme flooding in January. Guys, our Earth is changing, and there's reason for it. So you tell me. Is this normal? Gosh. This is South Carolina. Here's Iceland. The volcano eruption still ongoing. And mind you, we have Hawaii, Alaska, and somewhere else. Oh, Yellowstone, that all have a volcano that have many small earthquake swarms popping off around them currently just in the last 24 hours. This is Mexico. Fantastic sky views. Fantastic colors. Now, this is Wolf Creek Pass. And this is an actual observatory that runs on a feed consistently. Look at this thing showing up. I don't quite know what to make of that. But it is very interesting how it only shows up once in a while. And mainly on the feed that's at Wolf Creek Pass in Colorado. They have other feeds in different locations. But I find it very intriguing that this rainbow orb shows up. I wonder if that shows up on a pattern. I need to look that up. Like every X amount of days or something like that, you know? Are you ready?
What happened? So this came about because we got that thing in their sky. Look at here it is right here.
Wolf Creek
It's
Pass.
over here, and I'm going to show you how many holes. See, this has more holes than the other one, but look at the clouds are in front of it in the eastern sky at 10 in the morning. Look at it. They're trying to cover it up, but they can't. Look at that, you all. This is wild.
That's clearly not light refraction.
See how many holes it has right here as it's rising in the sky? Why does it have more holes now? And you can see as it's going across the sky, here comes the clouds. They're coming in the cavalry. And look, it gets phases like the moon. The moon has a phase. This thing right here has a phase in the sky. This like the Nibiru thing. It does the same thing the moon does, and then it disappears. And then if we come over, what happened? So this
And that's why sometimes
we got that thing in there.
in the pictures it looks like we have an extra moon in its different phases. Now, listen to this one. This is very interesting. This is oh my gosh, what is his name? Marshall, something Marshall. Marshall Masters.
When will this planet come back?
It's here.
It's already in the area.
Oh, yes. Right now it's in conjunction. It is behind the sun. It's coming up. It came up in the direction towards the sun's, say, 7:30 position.
Okay.
Now, when it comes out from behind, it'll be around the 1:30 position. And
will we be able to see it then?
Yeah. And when we see it, if you're not prepared, I mean, frankly, when we do see it, people are going to be standing out in the street. They're going to be pointing up at the sky.
You'll be able to see it like that?
Oh, yeah. You're going to see it. It's a melancholia scenario. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger because this thing is going to come around from behind the sun and cross over our orbit above us and ahead of us. And, you know, there's a gentleman, Bob Dean, government whistleblower. He's one of my heroes. I mean, I just love this guy.
Yeah, good guy.
And I think in 2008 on Project Camelot, he made a prediction. He said, according to my sources, when we are going to be on the same side of the sun as the Planet X system when it goes into its aphelion leg. That's when it's going back south.
Okay.
And that is when it's really going to be jamming, you know.
And jamming meaning doing things to us?
To the sun, to us. First off, let me just explain the Planet X system.
Okay.
Nemesis is the dark star, all right? And it hasn't been visible.
And I'm just going to say to you that even the Vatican has an infrared telescope called the Lucifer that is in, I believe, Sedona, Arizona. Somewhere in Arizona. And they too have been watching for our dark star. Because they all know it's there, that it's real.
Visible for a very long time to the naked eye because it's shrouded in iron oxide dust.
Okay.
This is from its creation.
And where would that be now, that binary star?
That binary star is beyond the orbit of Jupiter behind our sun.
And that's why we can't see
now,
it.
mind you, this particular video is taken from 20 years ago or something. It's from a very long time ago.
Orbit. It's inclined to, here's the plane of our solar system, all right? And it's inclined, and it goes up and down in 3,600 lunar. That's right. It doesn't go around like we do. So it comes up and down like a comet.
Okay.
It's a comet-like orbit, and it's very long. What happened was, in early 90s, a gentleman by the name of Robert Harrington, he was astronomer for the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington. He was the chief astronomer. He wrote a brilliant paper on the location of Planet X, all right? Not only did he do that, he backed it up by having a telescope specially constructed, sent to an observatory owned by our government in New Zealand. Because at that time it was in the southern skies.
Just to look for this planet.
Yes. And what happened was all of the image plates that came off that telescope were sent to NASA, disappeared. Never seen again.
And not just that, but in October of 2011, NASA also deployed an infrared um, it's not a satellite, but some type of scope out into our solar system, our deeper solar system, to look for said binary star. And it immediately went offline by November, early December. They said they already had the data that they were looking for, and that when they compiled the data, that they would release their findings to the public. And as of 2024, we still don't know what imagery they had sent back to them. And for good reason. I mean, total good reason. I completely understand why they wouldn't want the world at large to know just yet.
Again.
Well, that's interesting.
And shortly after that, he died a very mysterious.
When will
Hmm.
this planet come back?
It's here.
It's already in
That's
the
always
area.
an unfortunate coincidence. Okay. On to the next one here.
If y'all thought Africa was safe, you better think again. Anybody who lives 50 miles within that coast is going to drown. Y'all have to move wherever y'all do not see the big body of water. When Nibiru swings by, it's going to bring all the water that's from under the earth back to the surface. And pretty much everybody who lives on that coast is going to die. The Georgia Guidestones was right. Majority of the people on the earth are about to pass away from drowning. Nibiru is going to swing by, and when it does, it's going to take the water up with it.
If we don't learn to stand in our full power, because we can affect this change.
All right, you guys have to see this. Okay? Watch. What in the world? All right, you guys have to see this.
Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and areas of Alberta will become the refugee survival center of Canada. As the North American plate buckles, the new islands of California will be created with almost 150 separate islands. The West Coast will recede east toward Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado. The Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence will join and continue from the Mississippi River all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. All coastal areas from Maine to Florida will be taken over by water and pushed inland for miles. Most of the coastal areas of Mexico will be flooded. The California Baja coast will ultimately become a series of islands. Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and areas of Alberta will become the refugee survival center of Canada.
Big earth changes, and there is a Navy map. I've done many videos on that.
Planet X tips the Earth by 90 degrees, catching and dragging the Earth's south pole along as it swings its north pole up on its way out of the solar system. The Earth's rotation had stopped with the Atlantic Rift facing Planet X in a magnetic grip. But Europe and Africa were still tugging to the east, and thus the Atlantic rips apart. The former North and South poles are now on the new equator. India has become the new South Pole. Africa tears away from the Mediterranean, tipping the Arabian Plate in the process. The crashing plates compress the Pacific and force the Himalayas over India. India and Western Australia drown, as does Indonesia. An inland bay rips into the Russian lands just to the east of the Ural Mountains. After the pole.
Now, these are, of course, predicted changes. And again, I will remind you, we can focus our intent on changing them, parting the storms, keeping the shields of planet Earth on when she can't, protecting all sorts of things, places, and people.
The pole shift, the Earth begins rotating again. The Americas are strung out along the new equator. The ocean off the bulge of Brazil will become the North Pole. Alaska and Siberia, formerly frozen lands, will now be tropical. Europe and Africa are likewise now mostly tropical. Antarctica will melt and become habitable. The bulge of Brazil will lie on the new polar circle, but lands along the spine of the Andes will be temperate, as will the western United States. What was formerly India will become the new South Pole, with the lands nearby suddenly plunged into polar cold. Australia and New Zealand touch the new equator. But Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Tibet, southern China, and Southeast Asia will freeze, as will those who drown in what was formerly India. The world's most populous nations are thus at the greatest risk. Ice will form slowly over the new poles, giving survivors a chance to escape. Hypothermia will be their greatest enemy.
I really do not want to see any of these events take place. However, I do know that if you go to fema.gov, you can look up their Carrington event plan of action. And for the states alone here, they anticipate millions, hundreds of millions, who will require underwater burial, if you will, and they are prepared for that if such an event should occur. I am not sharing these things with you to create fear. I am not sharing these things with you for any reason other than helping you to see that this is real, this is serious, and that it's time to remember who you are so that we can help. Okay, so you get the point there. We don't need to look at 3 minutes of that.
They all know what's coming. The Planet X system is real.
Planet X in the 2017 arrival, right? And it goes on, it says this, listen. It says, Father Malachi was a it says,
Let me skip ahead because he messes up a few
all
times.
this interest by the Vatican. Why are they really interested in? It is reported by Father Malachi that the Vatican insider that he knew about an inbound planet that would cause destruction to millions of people. He said it would look like a red cross in the sky when it
A
appeared.
red cross.
He had indicated it will appear between 2015 and 2025. The exact date is a secret hidden by the archives of the Vatican, right? So they know this thing is coming, right?
They know this thing is coming. And the late, great, brave Father Malachi would liken this red cross we will see in the sky to what the Hopi and the Mayans referred to as the Red Kachina.
Look at what's going on with the weather, right? Look at the weather. And you tell me if this sounds like a game.
They all know what's coming. The Planet
So I'm
X
reading this
system
book,
is
right?
real.
Now, again, there's good reason to not let the population become aware of this until it's time. No one wants to cause mass panic or complete economic collapse or any of those kinds of things. And that's certainly not my intention either. And I don't want to create any type of fear in anyone either. I want you to be informed, educated, empowered, and aware of what's coming at us and what we can do about it. Now, pay attention to this one. This was very interesting to me when I found this because I was personally a part of assisting in other light workers and grid workers preventing this from happening in 2012.
The Mayans' prophecy of 2020-12. 2021 is actually 2011. 2022 is actually 2012. They changed time. But it's impossible to change time, right? Wrong. Daniel 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time, times, and a dividing of times. Hold on to that last part. And he shall be given into the hands until a time, times, and a dividing of times. Who made these laws, and when did they do it? The laws that we use today and the concepts of time that we use today is an extension of the Roman Empire, which is now the Roman Catholic Church, which is embedded in every first world country that we know of today. This image's head was of fine gold. His breast and arms was of silver. His belly and thighs was of brass. His legs of iron. His feet part of iron and part clay. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, clay.
It's talking
Clay is
about the
pisces.
ages.
So from here up until here, man was following the same concept of laws and time.
We are moving into the age of Aquarius, but they wanted us to be confused on when that actually begins. And this is not the video I was thinking it was, but there is one in here I'm going to show you where light workers helped to push this back by 10 years,
Time, even in their darkness, until the time
12
of
years.
Pisces, time of clay. Clay is Adam. Adam equals man. What is the marker that we use for Pisces for the change of time? That'll be the Conference of Nicaea. That's in 325 AD. Every empire used a 360-day solar calendar up until the time of Pisces, including the Roman Empire. Until the Roman Empire, i.e. the Roman Catholic Church, decided to change it to a Gregorian calendar, which is 365 days, which is the
Actually, I'm just going to correct him there because they actually used a 13 moon lunar cycle calendar, and many people were still using it up until 1935. But yes, the Roman uh, Catholic Church, if you will, British rule, whatever, effectively had changed it around 1775 or 1777, something like that. It was a year before or a year after 1776. I don't remember exactly which way, but I do remember that it was changed at that time for the majority of the world. Okay, I have a few more that I want to show you here, and then we will wrap this up.
The Bible got the truth of the prophets and lies of the abominable church. You read it like a bedtime story, it's gonna put your punk ass to sleep. So how I know the ages of iron, bronze, silver, and gold. It's in the Bible. The Bible can free you or it can enslave your ass. Daniel 2, verse 32 says, This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and arms of silver, his belly and thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part clay.
And all of these different appendages of the body that are named with each of the ages is attributed to specific zodiac signs or constellations, actually, to be more specific, that works as a giant clock in the sky for us, for which age we are in.
Head of gold, arms and breasts of silver, midsection of gold, legs of iron and clay. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, clay in the time of Pisces. Book of Daniel is describing the procession of the equinox. What does clay got to do with anything? The name of the first man, which is Adam, signifies man in a generic sense. Church is telling you it's a man and a woman. Freemasons will tell you, no, that's not the case. Both Adam and Eve signify two different races of human beings. They derived from the ground. Ground meaning clay. So clay is man. So the Bible also tells man his life expectancy in this whole cycle. Genesis 6 verse 3 tells man he got about 120 years max in the age of Taurus. This is right after the flood. My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. How do we know? You gotta listen to the concept of the story and it tells you what time it is. Now we gotta apply the law of correspondence. If Taurus is 120 years, then the life expectancy at Pisces has to be also 120 years. Because as above, so below. What happens here, gotta happen here. So what about Aries? Psalms 90 verse 10 that tells you Aries life expectancy is max 70 years. The days of our years are 60 years. A score is 20, so 3 scores is 60. The days of our years are 60 years and 10, so 60 plus 10, which is 70 years. And if by reason of strength they be 60 years, if you eat a little better, and you know some people's bodies a little bit stronger than the others, then you could possibly live till 80 years. Check the Greeks. Check how long these men live. Barely 50 to 60 years. Check Pisces, which is where we're coming from, which ended in the year 2000. Your parents, max 80, some 90 years they lived. They could have lived 120 years, but the garbage food that we eat reduced it down to 70, 80, 90 years. So what about Gemini? The Bible got the truth of the prophets and the lies of the abominable church. You read it like a bedtime story,
So
it's gonna put your punk ass.
his stuff is very good to listen to. Where we at? Here we go.
The Gnosis is another word for wisdom or knowledge. The Gnostics and the Kabbalists use different terminology to explain cosmology, creation, or the birth of the universe. Depth is what most of you know as source, referred to by the Gnostics as the forefather, the ineffable, but not to be mistaken with the father. The Kabbalists call the same depth Ein Sof, translated as no thing. Different terminology, but still identifying the source of all. It is the catalyst or the source of creation, infinite creation, because we cannot conceive or even begin to understand its existence. For anyone to ask of the beginning of existence is to ask of existence before existence. Depth, which is the source, more commonly known as the ineffable or the Ein Sof, translated as no thing, means you don't know and cannot know. To our infinite mind, its light to us is darkness. You can only learn its operations through its creations, manifestations, and the law through which these things are created. Now, depth.
Which is exactly what we are doing now. We are understanding the laws of creation.
There are many assumptions about the true meaning of 666. Most of them are pure superstition, and the rest are theory.
Okay, that is not the one I wanted to share. Let's go to the next one. And that's a fact. Yeah, that's a fact. I don't know who this man is. He's an anonymous whistleblower.
According to the statements of the Brazilian sky observer, Tio Abatum, a celestial body has invaded the solar system and is monitored by space telescopes and terrestrial telescopes all over the world. The unknown object is currently located near the planets Jupiter and Saturn and appears to be accelerating in speed. Coincidence or not, but last week, a strange sky phenomenon was captured in Trenton, New Jersey, by Alonzo Ent, who was able to capture a sort of celestial object close to the sun, often called second sun. Alonzo, who is
Now, I want to interject here also. They just mentioned that there are a multitude of equipments around the world and in our solar system that are watching and monitoring this. And in 2019, when our episode, right before that had happened, several very significant um, telescope array locations were shut down, taken offline, and then everyone was made to sign a gag order and cease and desist from their work while all of their computers and their data was confiscated. Also, at the same time, NORAD Command went into its safe place within the mountain, I believe in Colorado, and locked themselves down prior to any other type of scenario for the rest of the world. And we are no longer in any type of effective shutdowns. However, NORAD still remains within that mountain to this day. They've yet to come out. Why do you think that is? Because they're the center of command. They're the true, what's that word? Contingency plan for continuation of government and protection and safety through military means if necessary. You know, search and rescue team deployment, putting plans into place on the ready. For what? An illness? I don't think so.
who is an experienced cameraman, said, "It was moving very fast and although it was very difficult to focus, I was able to record it for a few minutes. It only lasted about 5 minutes and then it went away." Although Tio Abatum talks about the infamous planet Nibiru, we may wonder if it could be a giant alien mothership, the one recorded by the SOHO heliospheric spacecraft. The question arises spontaneously to the astronomer Tio Abatum: could it be that what is happening now on Earth, pandemic, is a direct connection with the presence of this unidentified space object? We just have to wait for further developments on the movement of this space object, which is large in size and is approaching Earth.
And I will say this. The first term that we used for our pandemic was a Mexican word that, if you translate it to English, means crown. And we are crowning in Christ's consciousness because of the entire world being shut down momentarily. And that's huge to me. It should be to you too. This is Wichita, Kansas. Why is there no volume? Oh, there's no sound available. And also, I will say that some of these things that we're seeing, like the translucent orb, like that, that's being shown in Wolf Creek Pass or whatever it's called, could very well be some type of very large mothership, you know?
Could Earth be playing out the same fate as Nibiru? Welcome to the uniplanetary.
I mean, let's think about it for a minute. If this is in fact what was written by our ancient peoples to warn us about, there are beings on these planets, right? I can't say the word because it's a flag word now, for whatever reason. But, you know, they're the Annas with the Nakis and the words like that.
All planets are merely
Dear
Earth at
God,
different
that's loud.
stages of evolution, all visible simultaneously. Picture Nibiru, home to the Anunnaki. A planet that shattered its ozone layer lost its atmosphere due to relentless global warming. As a desperate last-ditch effort, they introduced reflective particles into the atmosphere to deter the sun's harmful rays and slow the warming effect. Now cast your mind back to our own past, the 80s, when we first discovered a gaping hole in Earth's ozone layer. Notice the rise in chemtrails in our skies since then? Our Earth is living through the trials of Nibiru. As we prepare to escape our own dying planet, remember our destination is none other than Venus, Earth's past. We post thought-provoking videos every day. So
Okay, I don't even know what that one's about. I don't know how that even got in here. So I just have a couple more and then we're going to wrap this up. Is there no volume for this? Nope, no sound. Okay. This is our solar observatory. And see, at this time in 2022, it was way out here. Current, present day, 2024, it's up here. Or, you know, up here. Sometimes we see it on this side. Sometimes we see it on this side of the sun. Because it's coming up from behind there. All right. Now, do you see this headline? We can prevent that. We can prevent that. We can prevent that. because we are who we've been waiting for. And we do have more power and control through our focused thought, our focused intention in changing these things and assuring that these celestial bodies that are coming into our inner solar system do not create the devastation that they have in the past. All right, I hope you've liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it as far and wide as you can. Help get this message out to everyone because there is hope. It's not too late. And we are who we've been waiting for. Collectively, we can change so much for the better for all people and the planet. Until next time, be well and be blessed in love and light.